Hello, Internet. Welcome to another episode of Quiz and Hers. My name is Justin, and I am here with my betrothed, my beloved, my ball and chain, my co-host, Hallie.
Hi.
This is the trivia podcast where we test each other's knowledge and the strength of our relationship in a 10-week battle for trivia supremacy. After 4 games, 2 games apiece, I am currently leading 7 points to 6.
Close.
Much closer than it was a couple weeks ago.
Whoop whoop. I got the question writing together.
Yes, your questions last week were much harder than the game before that.
Well, I had to step it up.
Yeah, no, good. I think hard is good. So, for those of you who do not know how the game works, each week one of us writes questions to ask the other one. Questions come from 6 categories. They are history, geography, science, sports and games, arts and literature, and sounds and screen, which is television, movies, and music. I will be asking the questions today. I guess that's it, right?
I'll be answering the questions today.
Hallie will be answering the questions today. I feel like I'm forgetting something from the intro.
Nope.
Alright, then let's play Quiz and Hers. I call today's game Episode 5, but the 5 is a V, in which Justin continues to make his case for why we should spend some of our honeymoon in Rome.
Okay.
See,
We'll see.
Get it? The 5's a V because it's a Roman numeral?
I got it, but it's sad because you had to explain that.
I thought it was funny if it was a really long title.
Okay.
Alright, here we go.
We'll see how well your case is made here.
Yeah, alright. So, as you know, Hallie, as our listeners may not know, I am obsessed with Roman history, in particular the late Republic, early Imperial era, the time of Julius Caesar, Mark Antony, Octavian, Cleopatra, all of them. I think it's just such a fascinating piece of history. It's larger-than-life characters playing out their petty squabbles on the world stage. And because I love this period of history so much, I'm not going to ask any questions about it today.
Okay.
I'm going to completely avoid this portion of history and talk about other things relating to Rome, the eternal city, the capital of the world.
So nothing about Roman history, just about Rome itself?
Nothing about that period of Roman history. There will be other stuff, but no late Republic questions.
Because I don't know any of them.
And also, I would just talk about it for hours if I got started.
That's true.
Yes.
He would.
So
I've been there.
Preemptively, yes, definitely. Preemptively stopping myself from going off on tangents about the late Republic.
I'm sure you'll get there in another episode.
Probably. Alright, question 1, history. Okay, no late Republic questions.
Okay, you can do it.
Stay strong, Justin. Right, okay. Let's start before that period.
Oh, great.
What civilization controlled northern Italy before the rise of Rome?
Etruscan.
Yes.
Because I always think of Tuscan. It sounds like Tuscan.
There's a reason for that, actually. I will get to that.
Woohoo!
Yes, so the Etruscans, it's one of these things that comes up all the time in trivia. So, yes, good.
Oh, yay.
Okay, here we go. The Etruscan civilization. We don't really know a whole lot about the Etruscans. Fun game within the game, by the way. Count how many times I say we don't really know in this discussion, because it's going to be a lot.
So we're going to hear a bunch of things that aren't really fact.
Well, so most of what we do know about the Etruscans comes from Roman writings, and the Romans fucking hated the Etruscans. So it is a little hard to sort out fact from fiction.
Okay.
But I'm going to try to focus on what we do know, and where things are unclear, I will try to make that clear to you.
Were there any Etruscan writers?
Presumably, but very little of it has survived.
Okay.
I'll get to that, actually.
Okay.
Alright, so here's what we do know. The Romans called them the Etrusci, or Tusci, which is where we get the word Tuscany for the region in northern Italy.
Okay.
The Greeks called them the Tyrrhenians, which is where we get the name of the Tyrrhenian Sea off the west coast of Italy. And they called themselves the Ravenna.
Wait, is that where the Mediterranean comes from? No way.
No, Mediterranean means, it's Latin for middle of the world.
So wait, what were they called?
The Greeks called them the Tyrrhenians, or Tyrrhenians.
It sounds so similar.
It's with a YH, not an E.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Tyrrhenians or Tyrrhenians.
Okay.
Yeah. And they called themselves the Ravenna, which seems not to be the source of any modern terms.
Ouch.
Yeah.
No. Because nobody liked them.
The earliest surviving Etruscan inscriptions date to around 700 BC, but they were around before that time. How long before, we don't really know.
That's 2.
Yep. There are conflicting accounts of where they originated, and we don't really know where they came from.
3.
Yep, 3. But the leading theory is that they were just indigenous to northern Italy, which isn't hugely informative.
Nope.
They never had a strong, unified government the way their foes from the south did. While Roman power was centralized in the city of Rome, there were lots of pseudo-independent Etruscan cities. They may not have even had a capital city in the modern sense of the term, but we don't really know.
4.
Yep. There are records of an Etruscan league of 12 independent city-states, but this seems to have been a religious union, organizing the major festivals of Etruscan religion rather than a political or military alliance. This may be part of why Rome was able to slowly overtake the Etruscans' territory. The last Etruscan cities were formally incorporated into Rome's territory around 100 BC, but their power in the region had evaporated long before that.
Okay.
The Etruscans had their own language, which we don't really know a ton about.
5?
Yeah, I think so.
5.
Most of the surviving examples of their language are funerary inscriptions, and it appears not to be an Indo-European language. In fact, it's part of an extinct family of languages called the Tyrsenian languages, which is what linguists call an isolate family, meaning it appears not to share ancestry with any other known group of languages, which I think is really cool.
That is cool. Do we know of any other ones?
Other isolate families?
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably like in isolated tribes and stuff.
Yeah. There are others, some of which are extinct, some of which are still around. I don't think I could name any off the top of my head, but yes, it's not the only isolate family.
Okay.
So anyway, decoding it, obviously, is pretty tough. And most of what we know of it, we've learned from bilingual and trilingual texts that duplicate the Etruscan in either Latin or Punic, which is the language of Carthage. Their written script was closely related to the Greek alphabet, though again, even though they adapted the Greek writing system, their language itself had no connection to Greek.
Uh-huh.
So it would be sort of like if you were transliterating Japanese into English characters, right? You can use the writing system from one language, but it doesn't mean they're actually connected at all.
It's like my 3rd grade secret Hebrew code.
What?
We had a secret code in Hebrew school because we could write the Hebrew alphabet. We could write English words with the Hebrew alphabet.
Oh.
And we would pass notes to each other, and they didn't know what it was, so.
Yes, it would be like that.
Good times.
Okay, Etruscan culture. We don't really know a lot about Etruscan culture.
6?
Yep, I think so. Except that it seems to have been heavily influenced by the Greeks. One notable feature of their culture is that they seem to have been pretty progressive with respect to the role of women, at least for the time. Married couples held an important place in Etruscan society, and Etruscan couples were monogamous. Married women were allowed in public and could socialize with other men, which was unheard of in Greek and Roman society.
Very ahead of their time.
Yeah, definitely. Very different from how the Greeks and Romans looked at the role of women in society.
And most other cultures.
Yeah. And this, I think, is really cool. Numerous Etruscan tombs were inscribed with the names of the deceased's father and mother, suggesting that mothers were seen as, if not equal to fathers, at least important in their own right.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Question 2. Arts and literature. Only one artist made Culture Trip's article 10 of Rome's must-see art masterpieces twice, and it wasn't Michelangelo, Raphael, Donatello, or even Leonardo da Vinci. Listeners, feel free to pause for a moment and insert your own Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles joke here. Instead, it was what Baroque sculptor who made the list for his works Apollo and Daphne and the Ecstasy of St. Teresa?
I'm going to go ahead and say Botticelli.
Not a bad guess, but no.
Damn.
It's Gian Lorenzo Bernini.
Damn, I knew it started with a B.
Yep. And
Because,
ended with an I.
But how sad is it that my only basis of knowledge for that was, I think, the Da Vinci Code, but I was on the right track.
Yeah.
You know what? You can say whatever you want about those books.
And I have.
But there are real things in there, like artists that I know of.
Yep.
But I guess forgot, so whatever, I tried.
Okay. Gian Lorenzo Bernini was born in Naples in 1598, and his father, Pietro, was also a sculptor. The family moved to Rome when he was 8, because his father received a papal commission. He was recognized as an artistic prodigy from a young age, and quickly gained the attention of the Roman elite, especially powerful people associated with the papacy. His first patron was Cardinal Scipione Borghese, the nephew of Pope Paul V, for whom he was producing decorative sculptures by his late teens. The cardinal's extravagant home, the Villa Borghese, is now a museum showcasing his extensive art collection, which includes numerous Bernini sculptures, as well as paintings by Caravaggio. Among the works Bernini sculpted for Borghese is the aforementioned Apollo and Daphne, which depicts the love-struck god pursuing the fleeing naiad. The sculpture, like many of Bernini's works, depicts the climax of the story. In this case, the moment that Daphne begins her transformation into a laurel tree.
What's a naiad?
It's like a nymph.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's becoming a tree?
Yes. So in the story, and I wasn't going to get too much into this, but basically Apollo is in love with Daphne and pursuing her, and Daphne wants nothing to do with him, and she prays to her father, who's a minor god whose name I don't recall now, to save her from Apollo, and he transforms her into a laurel tree. And the depiction of this in the sculpture is really incredible. Her hair and her fingers are turning into these really detailed twigs and leaves. And this was all sculpted out of marble.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite incredible.
I still don't understand how they sculpted out of marble back in the day.
Very carefully.
Like, what did they use?
What do you mean?
Like tools.
Tools.
It's like soft enough that you can just sculpt.
Yeah, you can chisel it and that sort of thing. You just have to be very precise.
Wow.
It was in 1623, with the accession of Pope Urban VIII, that Bernini became the most prominent sculptor in all of Rome. He was, essentially, the personal sculptor to the Pope and his family, receiving almost every commission that they had to offer. But Urban's successor, Innocent X, ceased patronizing Bernini, who then sold his services to Cardinal Federico Baldassarre Bartolomeo Cornaro, which is such an awesome name, who commissioned him to design his burial chapel. This is where the Ecstasy of St. Teresa can be found. It depicts an angel piercing Teresa with a spear, a religious experience that she described in, let's just say, oddly sexual language.
Okay.
From an artistic standpoint, it is notable for combining sculpture, painting, and even architecture. The whole thing is illuminated by a hidden window that he designed above the statue.
Oh, I think this is in the book. Sorry.
Maybe.
I can't help but think of how this played into the book, but I think it totally did.
Possibly. I don't
know. I don't even remember which one.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get some basis for knowledge.
Yeah,
here.
no, definitely. Bernini remained an active artist right up until his death in 1680, which was the result of a stroke. He was buried, with little circumstance, alongside his parents in an unadorned burial vault. Okay, a bit about Bernini's legacy to finish up. He was such a gifted master of marble that he was, and is, considered the successor to Michelangelo. He's also considered the founder of Baroque sculpture. He was so talented, so innovative, and so influential that he created an entirely new approach to his art that his contemporaries emulated. In addition to being a sculptor, he was also an architect, and he was the de facto urban planner for Rome for much of his life.
Cool.
He crafted multiple fountains and buildings around the city, and is responsible for much of the city's look even today.
Nice.
Yeah, very cool.
Probably should have gotten this.
Well, I don't know. That one's a little tough, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Question 3. Sports and games.
Okay.
Rome's largest sports venue, the Stadio Olimpico, was, as its name suggests, the primary venue for the only Olympic Games ever hosted in Rome, which took place in the same year that the American Football League played its first season. What year were these Summer Games celebrated?
Oh, jeez. I don't do year questions.
What?
I don't do year questions.
You could.
I'm going to be like 1 year off, and then no, I'm not.
Well, you're not, because it's an Olympics, so you know that
I know that what?
the Olympics take place every 4 years.
Yeah, but how
So
am
you're
I
not
going to
be
start
1
counting?
year off. You're not going to guess a year
start...
that ends in a 9.
Yeah, but there's the Summer Olympics every 2 and
every 4.
Every 4, and the winter every other 4, so it's like...
Well, so this is the Summer Games, as I said. And for what it's worth, I don't think this helps you at all. At this time, summer and winter were held in the same year.
Oh.
Actually, that didn't change until 1994,
I'm just going to pick.
Okay.
I'm thinking. The Super Bowl we just had, I don't know if that's helpful, was, I think, 52. But the NFL probably existed for longer than that.
This is the AFL, though. The first year the AFL fielded teams.
I don't know. 1952.
Very close. 1960.
Damn it. I tried.
The 1960 Summer Olympics, officially the games of the 17th Olympiad, are the only Olympic Games ever to be held in the Eternal City. Rome was actually awarded the games of the 4th Olympiad, held in 1908, but after Mount Vesuvius erupted in 1906, Italy had to divert funds to rebuild the devastated city of Naples, and the honor of hosting the 1908 Games was passed to London. Rome beat out Lausanne, Switzerland, as well as Detroit, Budapest, Brussels, Mexico City, and Tokyo to host the Summer Games in 1960. Tokyo and Mexico City would go on to host the Games in 1964 and 1968, respectively, and the other 4 cities that got beat out have never hosted, though Lausanne is the headquarters of the International Olympic Committee, which is cool.
Oh. Detroit, never.
No, I suspect Detroit is probably not going to host the Olympics anytime soon.
No.
Yeah. These were the first Olympic Games to be shown on TV in the U.S. Satellites that would allow for live telecasting wouldn't be in service for another 2 years, so events were shot and edited on videotape in Rome, broadcast to Paris, where they were recorded onto other tapes, which were then shipped by jet to North America.
Oh my god. So how much later did people get to watch them?
Well, they worked quickly. Many events actually aired the same day that they were contested.
What?
I know. Isn't that incredible?
How?
They were very, very quick, I guess.
How did they fly the tapes to North America?
I mean, they had jets now. Like,
Yeah.
it was...
That's fast.
They weren't shipping them, like, by Freightliner.
I know that, but still, like, the flight takes, I don't know, 6 hours.
Yeah, probably something like that.
That's impressive.
The Soviet Union dominated the Games, winning 43 gold medals and 103 total medals. The U.S. was the second most successful nation, with 34 golds and 71 total, and the host country of Italy was third, with 13 golds and 36 total. Out of the 83 nations that competed, 39 of them, nearly half, had the inglorious distinction of not winning a single medal.
Wow.
Although Suriname arguably fared even worse.
How?
This was supposed to be the first Olympic Games in which a Surinamese athlete competed, but their sole Olympian, Wim Esajas, and I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, missed the 800-meter heat he was supposed to run in due to a scheduling mix-up by the head of the Surinamese Olympic delegation. That is a hell of a way to miss out on Olympic glory.
Their Olympic delegation had one job.
Yes.
To get this one guy.
The one guy to this one
heat. And they couldn't
heat,
do their one
and they blew it.
job.
Isn't that incredible?
It's sad.
Now I'm going to do that thing that I do where I just spout unrelated factoids.
Okay.
Some of them are interesting, some of them are fun, and some of them are just weird.
Okay.
Cassius Clay, who would take the name Muhammad Ali 4 years later, won gold in light heavyweight boxing at the 1960 Olympics.
Light heavyweight?
Light heavyweight, yes. So he was not a full-fledged heavyweight yet.
It's on the lighter end of heavyweight.
I believe it is 1 or 2 weight classes below a true heavyweight.
Okay.
Constantine, of the House Glucksburg, won gold in sailing for Greece. 4 years later, he would ascend to the throne and become Greece's last monarch, Constantine II.
Cool.
Yeah. The International Olympic Committee refused to recognize East Germany, so athletes from East and West Germany competed together as the United Team of Germany, as they had in 1956 and would again in 1964. Starting in 1968 in Mexico City, the two nations would compete separately until their reunification. This was the first Olympic Games in which Singapore competed under its own flag, as it had previously been under British control. Vilho Ilonen, or something, a field shooter from Finland, shot a bullseye but failed to medal, probably because he hit the bullseye on the wrong target.
Oh, jeez.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Can you imagine an Olympic athlete today doing that?
Was he drunk?
I don't know what it was, but yes, he shot a picture-perfect bullseye on the target next to the one he was supposed to be shooting at.
Did he just not know which one he was shooting at, or was he just, like, totally that bad?
I don't know. I don't know. I like to imagine he was, like, so dialed in and, like, so focused with his, like, with aiming his rifle, you know, or I guess with a rifle, whatever, aiming his gun, he was, like, so focused and so zeroed in on this bullseye that he just completely missed the forest for the trees there. I don't know.
Maybe.
It's incredible.
Maybe you're, like, looking so zoomed in at one thing that he just, like, forgot which one he was aiming for.
Yeah, I don't know, something like that. And lastly, Ethiopian runner Abibi Bakila won the marathon with a world record time of 2 hours, 15 minutes, 16.2 seconds, barefoot.
Oh my god.
Because people were just more awesome back then.
I feel like they wouldn't allow that now.
They might not, I don't know. 4 years later...
Is he okay?
He was fine, yeah. 4 years later in Tokyo, he became the first person ever to win 2 Olympic marathons in a row. Although he did wear shoes that year, to be fair.
Oh.
So who cares, right?
Yeah. Doesn't count anymore.
But yeah, isn't that crazy?
I'm glad he figured out after the first time that he should probably wear some shoes.
Yeah. Well, apparently he was pretty well known for running barefoot. Like, he ran long distance barefoot for many, many years. And yeah, he ran a marathon in 2 hours, 15 minutes with no shoes on. I mean, that is crazy.
Ow.
Yeah, I know, right?
Just thinking about it sounds painful.
It sounds horrible. All right, next up. Question 4. Sounds and screen. Plenty of movies have been set in the capital of the world, including 2012's To Rome with Love, which has the decidedly average rating of 45% on Rotten Tomatoes. What prolific filmmaker directed this mediocre work of cinema, as well as far better received efforts set in the titular cities of Cairo, Barcelona, and Paris, along with 45 other features?
I want to say Woody Allen.
Okay, do you want to say Woody Allen is your answer?
Sure.
Yes, it is Woody Allen.
Yay!
Very good. Haywood Woody Allen.
Oh, wait.
What?
I know someone whose name is Haywood and goes by Woody.
I wouldn't go by Haywood, would you?
No, I thought that it was just like this one person, but I guess Woody must just be the nickname for Haywood.
Yeah. Anyway, Woody Allen was born Alan Stewart Konigsberg on December 1st, 1935 in Brooklyn, New York. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to do a biography-style discussion for this one because I already did that for Bernini earlier. I'm just going to focus on his unbelievably prolific body of work. And no, I'm not going to talk about those allegations, nor his history with his current wife, because this is a fun trivia show, and those would never come up in a trivia setting. It's all super fucked up, let's just move on.
Could come up in a trivia setting.
I would be very surprised.
Okay.
Look, if you really want to know, you can Google it. It's super fucked.
All right.
Allen's directorial debut...
But we're not forgetting about it.
No.
We're not condoning anything.
No, obviously, it's just...
We're not just ignoring it. We're just leaving it out.
Yes.
That's not to say that anything is okay.
No one's saying that.
Okay.
All right. His directorial debut was 1966's What's Up, Tiger Lily, which was a redubbed and recut version of a Japanese spy film called International Secret Police Key of Keys. Allen used footage from the existing film, but completely changed the plot, from a more or less serious Japanese James Bond knockoff to a farce about a search for the world's greatest egg salad recipe.
What?
I know. I haven't seen it, but apparently a lot of the humor derives from Asian stereotypes. So that's not a great start.
No.
Yeah. He spent the early part of his career making slapstick comedies, until he caught lightning in a bottle with 1977's romantic comedy drama, Annie Hall.
That's the only one of his movies I've seen.
Good lord, there is a lot of stuff to say about Annie Hall.
It's such a good movie.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
Yes, it's great.
It's the only one of his movies I've seen.
So, alright, let's see how much of this you knew then.
Probably none of it.
It originated, when they were first writing it, as a murder mystery film with a romantic subplot, but the murder mystery was later removed as the script was revised. Even the shooting script didn't actually have an ending. It concluded simply, quote, ending to be shot. Even after everything had been filmed, it still wasn't clear that this was a movie that was principally concerned with a romantic relationship. The earliest cut had that as just one of numerous subplots, and mainly focused on Woody Allen's character, Alvy Singer's, surreal midlife crisis in New York. Allen ruthlessly cut the film down from 2 hours and 20 minutes to 1 hour and 33 minutes, and focused the narrative on the neurotic and ultimately unsustainable relationship between Alvy and Annie Hall, played by Diane Keaton.
Was it originally called Annie Hall? Or
No.
Once he realized this was like the best part of it, he changed it to
Yeah,
Annie Hall?
so they experimented with a lot of different titles, actually. I don't remember all of them. I think the original working title was anhedonia, which is a Greek, I believe, word for like an inability to feel pleasure.
Okay.
And then it went through a whole bunch of different titles until they finally settled on Annie Hall as they were editing it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Annie Hall won Allen the first of his 3 Best Original Screenplay Oscars. The others were for 1986's Hannah and Her Sisters and 2011's Midnight in Paris, incidentally, and his one and only Best Director Oscar. It also won Best Picture, and Keaton won Best Actress. At the time of recording, Annie Hall holds a 97% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Allen arguably peaked with Annie Hall, despite not even knowing what the hell it was about until he was in the editing room.
Yeah, like how do you get the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay when it was just like half made up?
Well, like it wasn't improvised. They just
Okay.
took out a ton of stuff.
So I guess when they go for Best Original Screenplay, they don't count all the stuff that didn't make it into the movie. I don't really know.
Apparently not.
It's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Allen arguably peaked with Annie Hall. I think most people would agree with that. And he's definitely had some ups and downs since then. But several of his subsequent films have been received well, including the 3 that I alluded to in the question. 1985's The Purple Rose of Cairo, 2008's Vicky Cristina Barcelona,
Oh, yeah.
and 2011's Midnight in Paris. Here's what I find most incredible, though. Despite the wildly varying quality of his films over the years, Allen has directed at least one movie every single year since 1982.
That's crazy.
I know. Take a year off, you lunatic.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're directing that many things, there's bound to be some variance among how good they are.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, like, the directors that spend a long time on each movie, they're all good.
Yeah.
So this seems more like you're just trying a million things, and the odds are some of them will be good.
Yeah,
that expression?
Seeing what sticks, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Question 5. Science.
That was over?
Yes?
It seems so short.
I mean, it was on the shorter side, I guess.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Rome is definitely known more for art than for science, but it is the birthplace of a prominent physicist, the so-called architect of the nuclear age, who died in Chicago in 1954. Among the many things named after this Nobel laureate are a class of subatomic particles and a chemical element, number 100 on the periodic table. Name either the class of particle or the element, and don't look at my periodic table poster.
Fermium?
Yes, fermium.
Yay!
Very good.
I didn't look.
And the class of particles is fermions.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I just figured Fermi is the only Italian scientist I know, except Galileo.
Yeah, and he's the most prominent Italian-American physicist by a mile.
Yep.
Okay, so I call this segment of the show Things Named After Enrico Fermi.
Okay.
Fermi is one of those next-level geniuses, and he has a ton of shit named for him, so I'm just going to talk about the most important and interesting stuff. Elementary fermions are the building blocks of matter. They include quarks, as well as leptons, that is, electrons, muons, taus, and their corresponding neutrinos. Bosons, on the other hand, are usually force-carrying particles. They are essentially the mechanisms by which fermions interact with one another. Protons and neutrons, which are made up of quarks, are also technically fermions, and of course, all matter is made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons.
Oh my god, we're all fermions!
That means that, like all other elements, fermium is made up of fermions. How's that for a segue?
Also, everything is made up of fermions.
Yes.
Whoa.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Fermium is a synthetically produced chemical element with atomic number 100, and it is a member of the actinide series on the periodic table. It was first discovered in the fallout from the Ivy Mike nuclear test, the first test of a thermonuclear bomb, aka a hydrogen bomb, in 1952. Contaminated coral from Eniwetok Atoll, where the test had been conducted.
Atoll.
Yes.
Throwback.
Atoll. Yep, throwback to episode 1.
Yep.
This is a different atoll, but yeah.
Cool.
Contaminated coral from the atoll was shipped to UC Berkeley, and element 100 was first detected in this sample, though the team was not allowed to publish their results for 3 more years until 1955, because the Ivy Mike test and all related information was classified at the time.
Oh.
As is traditional, the team that discovered the element was allowed to name it, and they chose the name fermium in honor of Enrico Fermi, who had passed away in 1954.
Oh, so he wasn't actually really part of it.
Well, he was alive when the test was conducted, but he was dead by the time they were allowed to publish.
But he wasn't really part of the whole discovery.
The team that discovered it? No.
That's interesting. I thought for sure that he discovered it since it was named after him.
No, so elements are not usually named for their discoverers. They're usually named for either the location of their discovery, like with berkelium and dubnium and these kinds, or they're named after, like, prominent other scientists who have contributed a lot to our understanding of nuclear chemistry. Usually people who are dead. I think only 1 or 2 of them were named for living scientists. I know element 118, Oganesson, was named for Yuri Oganessian, who is still alive.
I don't know how you know these things.
I was reading about it.
Okay.
I think there might be one other one named for someone who's still alive, but I'm not sure which one.
I don't know.
Yeah, so they published in 1955. The same team at Berkeley later synthesized fermium in the lab by bombarding plutonium-239 with neutrons. As it happens, fermium is the heaviest element that can be produced by neutron bombardment of lighter elements, meaning that it's actually the last element on the periodic table that can be produced in macroscopic amounts. Though pure fermium metal has never been synthesized. We've only ever produced it in solution or in alloys.
Interesting.
Yeah. There are roughly 1 million other things named for Fermi, including the Enrico Fermi Award, given out by the U.S. Department of Energy to scientists for a lifetime of contributions to the science of energy, the Fermiac, an analog computer that he developed to model the behavior of neutrons, and Fermilab, a facility just outside of Chicago that specializes in high-energy particle physics research. But I don't have time to talk about all of those. So I'm just going to finish with my favorite, the Fermi paradox. The paradox goes like this. There are hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy, some of which must have habitable planets, and intelligent life should have developed on at least some of those planets. Since many of these stars are billions of years older than our own sun, at least some civilizations probably would have developed interstellar travel, so we should have observed evidence of intelligent life somewhere other than Earth. But we haven't, leading Fermi to wonder out loud, where is everybody? As of now, there are a lot of speculative answers, some more outlandish than others, but we don't really know for sure.
6?
What?
7?
Oh, yes, yes.
I thought I was still counting.
Yes, we don't really know for sure. Nice. All right.
So probably there's no life out there.
There's a lot of proposed solutions to the paradox. One might be that we're not listening in the right way, right? So
probably
we're mostly listening for radio signals, but maybe they use some other kind of communication.
Right. But like, what's stopping them from just like landing on, I don't know, Texas?
So the Star Trek reason for that would be that you have the Prime Directive, so you're not allowed to interfere with the development of other civilizations until they develop warp capability.
Basically, it does save a lot of problems when you're thinking about this.
Yeah, but the problem with that, of course, in practice, is that one alien civilization violating this directive basically bring down the whole house of cards around it, right? Yep. So it's probably not actually very feasible in reality.
What if they're just around us now and we don't even know that they're there?
That is one of the more outlandish speculations, but that is something some people have argued.
It.
Yeah. Okay. How many answers have you gotten right in this game? So you got
Etruscan, Woody Allen, and I just got Fermi. Yeah, okay. So I'm at 3.
Well, you're going to close at 4 because this is an easy
one. Yay!
What nation, the smallest in the world by both population and area, is completely encompassed within the city of Rome?
Oh, come on, man.
I know.
You could have written a better question.
I thought this game was going to be harder than
Watch, I'll be wrong. Vatican City.
Yes, it's Vatican City. I thought this was going to be a harder game than it turned out to be, so I wanted to end on an underhand pitch.
Why did you think it was going to be harder? You didn't think I would know Etruscan?
I thought you would probably know Etruscan. I didn't think you would get Fermi.
I see how it is.
I thought my first game was going to be easier than it was. I thought this one would be harder than it was.
Oh, well, there you go.
I'm not perfectly calibrated.
That's okay. It's hard, so no.
Yeah. Okay, so Vatican City holds a lot of weird geographical and political distinctions that I think are really interesting. As I mentioned, it's the smallest country in the world with a population of about 1,000 people and a total area of just 0.17 square miles.
What percent of the 1,000 people are clergy? All of them?
Most of them.
Okay.
For reference, 0.17 square miles is about twice as big as Grand Central Station and about 1/10 the size of Central Park.
Whoa.
I know. That's how tiny it is.
That is crazy.
Listeners, if you want to lose a lot of time finding out like weird size comparisons like this, there's a fantastic website that I used for this called The Measure of Things. Just Google it. You'll find it. It's crazy addictive, and it's really, really fun.
What about for people that aren't from New York? What would compare to Grand Central Station?
I don't know. Those are the only 2 that I had.
Oh, okay.
It's also one of only 3 city-states in the world today, along with Singapore and Monaco, and one of only 3 enclaved nations, that is, nations that are entirely surrounded by another nation. The others being San Marino,
I knew that,
which is enclaved in Italy, yep, and you know the other one?
No, I only knew San Marino. Wait, whatchamacallit is inside of South Africa?
Yep.
Lesotho.
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. Lesotho, enclaved
Geography
in South
skills
Africa.
coming through.
Vatican City also has the odd distinction of being, technically, the only absolute monarchy left in Europe, with the Pope serving as the elected but absolute ruler of the tiny state. Here's the weirdest part, though. Technically, Vatican City isn't even sovereign. It's the territory of the Holy See, the central ecclesiastical body of the Catholic Church. The Holy See has been recognized as a sovereign entity since the Middle Ages, and it essentially represents the entire Catholic Church in international relations. So nations don't form diplomatic relationships with Vatican City, they form them with the Holy See, which holds Vatican City as its territory.
Who's the Holy See? The Pope?
The Pope is the head of the Holy See, so it essentially is the sovereign entity of the Church that can do things like have diplomats and sign treaties and things. So the Holy See signs treaties on behalf of the Catholic Church.
Do they do that? Do they have, like, foreign relations?
Yes, they do.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I thought they were just like chilling.
No, they do. So the Holy See has Vatican City as its territory, but actually the territory is so tiny that all of the Holy See's embassies are located in Rome proper, not Vatican City.
Oh.
So they have embassies that other countries, have ambassadors in. Vatican City is not a member of the United Nations, but the Holy See has permanent observer status, along with Palestine.
Oh.
Okay, so a bit of history which I think will help to clarify this weird point about the Holy See being sovereign and independent of Vatican City. So, for over 1,000 years, Italy was just a geographic term, not a political entity, right? The peninsula was divided into a dozen or so independent states. The popes were the secular rulers of the papal states, which was a pretty large area around Rome. The reunification of Italy, which is a whole other topic that I might get around to one day because it's fascinating, was completed in 1870 when the forces of what was then known as the Kingdom of Italy finally retook the historic capital. As of that moment, the Holy See possessed no territory, but was still considered sovereign in its own right. What to do about this came to be known as the Roman Question, which was answered in 1929 when Benito Mussolini of Italy, yes, that one,
Yep.
and Cardinal Secretary of State Pietro Gasparri of the Holy See signed the Lateran Treaty, establishing the state of Vatican City.
Oh.
Yeah.
How come the Pope wasn't the one that did it?
Mussolini officially signed it on behalf of the King of Italy,
Okay.
and Secretary Gasparri signed it on behalf of the Pope.
Who was the Pope?
At that time, in
Yeah.
1929, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
I haven't memorized the popes. Probably
Get on that.
Should probably add that to the list. In addition to being the home of the Pope and the sovereign territory of the Holy See, Vatican City is also home to the Sistine Chapel and St. Peter's Basilica, as well as the Vatican Museums. In other words, it probably has the densest concentration of priceless art per fraction of a square mile anywhere on Earth.
I want to go.
And because I like ending on weird factoids, the smallest nation in the world hosts its own semi-government-sponsored amateur soccer league, consisting of 8 teams representing various state departments, most notably the Vatican Museums and the Swiss Guard.
Only in Italy. Also,
Yes.
I hope that the Swiss Guard wear their uniforms when they play.
So I don't.
That would be amazing.
I doubt that. But yes, the Pope's elite bodyguards, the guys with perhaps the silliest military uniforms on Earth, field a soccer team in their spare time.
Of course.
Notably, they've never won a championship.
Aww. They actually could tell you which teams won?
They contest for the Vatican City Championship, the 8 teams.
That's so cute.
I know. It's hilarious, right? All right, so that'll do it for this episode. You are now in the lead, 10-7?
10-7.
Yes, 10-7. Okay. So next week, we'll be back, and I will try to reclaim the lead. This has actually turned into a very tight race.
Yep.
In the meantime...
Making a comeback.
Yeah, well, it's not even a comeback. You're winning now.
That's true.
I need to make a comeback next week.
Not happening.
We'll see. In the meantime, you can get in touch with the show by emailing us at quizandhers@gmail.com, or you can tweet us at quizandhers. And until then, we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, guys. How long before, we don't really know.
That's 1.
I think it's actually 2, but yes.
I'm sorry, I'm not paying that close attention to this.